here on Pinnacle FC. This is episode 22, a Champions League edition. Gareth Wheeler, Jake Osgathorpe with you, back from having a week off. I'm back from my vacation in Mexico, and I can confirm a first half of the vacation over in terms of margarita consumption. So I covered that, no problem. It was money in the bank, and that cashed early and often. Jake, how you been?
Good, yeah, a bit jealous after hearing you went very, very hard on the margaritas. That sounds lovely. We don't get very many good ones around here in Manchester, but yeah, now you've said it, I'm going to try and find somewhere that does have one. I'm feeling one right now.
I'm
other than that, I'm good.
Warm weather tequila guy. Cold weather Scotch or bourbon. That's
nice.
That's the way that I roll. Okay. Look, I'm really excited about this week in the Champions League. Just 2 match days to go, 6 in the books. The table is congested throughout, and 3 teams have been eliminated, just bringing you up to speed, in RB Leipzig, Slovan Bratislava, and Young Boys of Switzerland. And just 2 teams are guaranteed to go through in the top 24. Liverpool have assured themselves either finishing in the top 8, which do receive a bye to the final 16, or finish as one of the top seeds of the remaining 16 teams that will play a home and away. Barcelona have guaranteed themselves a spot as well in the final 24 of the competition. So with so much to play for here, Jake, especially those top 8 spots, trying to avoid a home and away here should be the utmost priority for sides with fixture congestion and everything that's being thrown their way. There's a lot to play for here in the final 2 match days.
Yeah, just a bit. I think especially for the teams from England, I think it takes even more precedent that they get that. Or I mean, over in America they call it a bye, don't they? It's effectively a bye into the next round, just because of the fact that the England are, I think, the only country across Europe that haven't had a winter break. They usually had one last couple of seasons. They scrapped it this season. They filled it with an extra couple of rounds of midweek Premier League action and an FA Cup game. So well done, everybody organising football in England. So yeah, like the English teams absolutely need to get in there just to have 2 midweeks off. Especially Liverpool, they've got a game in hand that needs to be played somewhere along the lines in the league as well. So yeah, I think it's really, really important, specifically for the English teams, but everybody, just to have two games, two free midweeks, just to kind of see where you're at with the squad, give people a bit of a rest, and be able to prep for whatever comes your way. And if you don't, obviously you face the risk of actually being eliminated before you even reach the last 16, which there are probably going to be some big teams that either don't make the final 24, looking at PSG or maybe Manchester City, given how they're currently sat in the table, or teams that do get eliminated in that knockout round. So yeah, this is the part of the league phase that I'm excited about. The first 6 games, you got some good matches between some good teams, but now it's actually, it's shit's hitting the fan kind of. This is getting serious now. It's cranking up a notch. You're starting to see games with a lot on the line. Everyone needs a result to get, into that top 4 as a minimum, isn't it? So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this week and then the second round or final round of matches.
And with this 36 team format, it's difficult to kind of get a read how they're faring in this competition because every team is playing different teams. There's no rhythm or flow where teams are playing similar sides to their top competition. So it adds that variable. So as always on this podcast, we give you our picks, our predictions, our prognostications for each and every game. Your job is to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well. All the markets that we are using, courtesy of our friends at Pinnacle. And let's start off with the Tuesday fixtures. And for me, the marquee fixture, like 2 of the hottest teams in European football right now, it's Atlético Madrid. They're currently in 11th place, that is, on 12 points. They take on Bayer Leverkusen, 4th in the Champions League table on 13 points. Bayer Leverkusen, 12 wins and no losses in 13 straight games. Atletico Madrid coming off a 1-0 loss to Legan on the weekend, but before that, they had 15 wins in a row in all competitions dating back to October. The markets here relatively even just in terms of where things go, with the 0 on the handicap or the draw no bet. Atletico Madrid, a little bit of a favorite here, but still, although these are two sides that probably a little bit comfortable in their standing, it's about finishing in the top eight, which makes this a massive fixture for both sides. Do you have a feel or read on this game? It should be a great one in Madrid come Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't really. This is a game I really struggled with. As you said, both teams have been in red hot form. They've both been playing really well, winning a lot of football matches. Um, Atletico Madrid's games, I was looking at taking the under, but all their matches in the Champions League have gone over. Bayer Leverkusen have had a little bit of a mix of the two. The line set at 2.5, so I was looking at under 2.5 at -117, with it being quite a cagey, quite a lot on the line almost. I think this is a game that neither can afford to lose, really, especially Atletico Madrid. If Atletico Madrid lose, they're probably going to have to settle for one of those 9 to 24 spots. I mean, if I was pressed for a bet, I would be looking at maybe going into the cards market, with it being quite a lot on the line in terms of, like I said, Leverkusen, the draw is probably a good result. Atletico Madrid probably need to win if they get in the top eight. I could see it kicking off a little bit, and these two teams are very good for cards in general. The line set at 4.5. You're getting +115 for over 4.5 bookings, which I might have a little nibble on, but no official play for me in this one. What about yourself? Do you have anything for this one?
Yeah, I have no problem playing Leverkusen on the zero handicap or John Obet at +114. They're very much looking like the never losing side of last season. Like they've really hit that stretch of form. Last match day, they played Inter Milan and were the first team to score against them, and they won 1-0 that game. I put Inter Milan among the gold standard in teams in this competition, and they ended up coming away with the result. Like I said, no losses in 13. They've been the first team to score in their last 10 games in all competitions as well. 5-3-0 away from home in the Bundesliga as well. So they're a really good away side. It's because they keep the ball. In this competition, their pass completion percentage is over 90%. It's second best in this competition. And they're fourth in terms of clean sheets in this competition as well. I think it's a recipe for success against an Atletico Madrid side, which is very strong, mind you, but might come out and try to play a little bit more. And if Leverkusen can just keep the ball in this game, I think that means good things for them. They're also a very good home side, 8-2-0 in La Liga with the best expected points at 25.7, courtesy of our friends at Understat. But they're 17th in expected goal differential per 90 minutes in the Champions League competition thus far. Leverkusen are 9th in that category and significantly higher. And there's recent reference points, a 2-2 draw for Leverkusen at Atletico Madrid in the 2022 Champions League. You mentioned it, Jake. I just think it's a game that neither team wants to lose. You know how I feel about betting draws. There might only be one or two every season. The draw at +234 is very tempting to me. I might end up making a play there, but I'll play it a little bit more safe and play Leverkusen at 0 on the handicap at +114. Make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Two good teams probably cancel each other out, even if they are both going for a victory. So yeah, I could definitely see it all square.
Let's stick with the Tuesday fixtures. It's 16th place Monaco. They're on 10 points, taking on 5th place Aston Villa on 13. Villa's been a very good home side over the course of the season. Not a great team away. Monaco, it's been a little bit of a mixed bag for them as well, but they continue to generate big chances in virtually all their games. The XG is a lot better than their actual output, especially in Ligue 1 competition. How are you looking at this game?
I'm actually happy to take Villa on the handicap. You're getting a draw no bet +0 at +102. I think I don't think the market has moved as much as it should have, given the two teams' form. And Monaco's so far this calendar year, they're winless. They've lost 2, drawn 2 of their matches. They're actually won just twice in the last 11 as well. Lost 6 of those. And their only wins have actually come against Toulouse, who like a mid to 7th or 8th in Liga, and a lower league team in the Cup. Whereas Villa, they found a lot of consistency. They struggled for it earlier in the season, but the last 11, so since the start of December, they've won 7, drawn 2, lost 2. And you mentioned struggles away from home. They've not had any struggles away from home in Europe. They've actually won 2 of the 3 They lost in Bruges, but that was a massive asterisk caveat given the fact that just a bizarre way to give away a penalty and lose that game 1-0. Should have probably finished 0-0. So yeah, I'm quite happy to give them the benefit of the doubt on that one and go away to Monaco and get a victory. Clearly, it's a Monaco team that are bereft of confidence. The results would show that. And Villa, they're just one win away from securing a top 8 finish. Winning Monaco, and it's kind of done and dusted before the final game. And I think that'll definitely appeal to Unai Emery, especially with the stacked schedule that they already have. And as I said, Monaco just that they do create chances, but they've also let a lot of good chances up as well. And I think Villa, the way in which Emery sets his side up, we saw it at the weekend at the Emirates. He's just very, very good pre-game, also in-game, getting things right. So I'm more than happy to take a chance on Villa getting the result with obviously money back if it ends in a draw.
I'm looking to the goal total here, and I'm happy to play the over 2.75 at minus 108 in this game. I understand what you mean about Villa's away form in the Champions League, but the two teams that they beat are two of the three teams that have already been eliminated in RB Leipzig and Young Boys. So I'm considering the competition here. And Villa, just in the Premier League, they've conceded 21 goals away from home, which is in 11 games, which is the fourth most in the Premier League. And they're 22.78 expected goals against. That's the same in that category. So they can score goals away from home as well. 14 scored away and a 15.55 expected goals in the Premier League as well. And the Champions League, 3-2 at Leipzig, 3-0 at Young Boys. They both go over the total when I'm looking at that here. In fact, overall, both teams to score has played in 4 of 5. With them coming off the 2-2 draw at Arsenal, and they've gone over 2.5 in 8 of their last 9 games. Monaco, same thing. Like, they lost 2-1 to Montpellier on the weekend, but they had 4 big chances, an XG of 2.41 in that game, and had 26 shots. Both teams to score has played in 5 of 6 of their games. They haven't kept a clean sheet in 6. In league play, they've only scored 14 goals at home, but their XG is north of 20 in that category. And their analytics, their data, lots of big chances in terms of their home games in the Champions League as well. So it's the first meeting between these two sides. I think there's reward. You mentioned it for Aston Villa. That's why I think they might push a little bit more. They're vulnerable at the back. I'm looking at the total. It's below 3. Anything below 3, I will play here. So at 2.75, I'm happy to take the overs in this game.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of games like that this week where if you've got two teams that kind of need to win almost, you're going to get quite an open game. And Monaco are in a position where they need to win. If they want to finish in the top 8, they have to win. And even if they don't win here, they might be outside the top 24 heading into the final game with a draw. So they kind of have to go for it in the final home game, which I think will lead to Villa causing them all sorts of problems on the counter-attack with Watkins or Duran, Rodgers, Ramsey, etc. You think it's going to lead to goals, and both could well end up being true.
Brilliant. It wouldn't be a podcast here on Pinnacle FC if we didn't deal with Atalanta. They're 6th place in the table, looking good in this competition, despite losing to Real Madrid last time out. They take on 29th place Sturm Graz, a team that's lost 2 key players in the transfer window in January and are coming off their winter break as well. It seems like Sturm Graz is right for the picking. The handicap is set at 2 goals here. I'm actually leaning the direction of taking it. It's at minus 111. I looked at the team total for Atalanta. It's also available at Pinnacle. Over 2.5 at minus 130. Well, I'd rather have the 2 goals at minus 111. And the total for this game is set at 3.25. And that's at minus 119 as well. So all direction here says, yeah, it might be 2 goals on the handicap. But in terms of what the markets are giving you, if you want to make a pro Atalanta play, it's got to be with the handicap in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to take that as well. I'm going to back them on the handicap. They're 13th in the league phase, so this is absolutely must win, the final home game if they're finishing the top 8. And they've been a little bit unfortunate, really, because according to the data, only Bayern Munich and Liverpool have got a better XG process in the Champions League than Atalanta. They're winless at home, but the performances have been excellent. Missed a penalty in a dominant draw with Arsenal. Somehow held goalless by Celtic, racked up over 3 expected goals against Real Madrid and managed to lose that game. So I'm fully expecting them to turn up here and absolutely hammer Sturm Graz, who they're not going to advance. I looked at the results and they've not been blown out yet to the standard I expect Atalanta to. But I also think they've not played very good football teams. in terms of attacking capabilities. They play Brest, Club Brugge, Dortmund, Sporting, Girona, and Lille. So they've actually had a favourable schedule, I would argue. Atalanta being the best attacking team that they're going to have faced, and they've actually posted a minus 0.9 expected goal difference per game through those 6 matches. So, that in terms of supremacy, they're giving up over an expected goal per game to their opponents, and Atalanta are posting a plus 1.5. I fully expect them to maybe win 2-3 here. Obviously, we need two goal win gets his money back. Any more than that, we get a win. They've blown out Shakhtar 3-1. They've blown out Young Boys 6-1. Both have similar or worse underlying processes than Sturm Graz. And I think the other thing we probably have to factor in as well is, with the table being so tight in terms of points, goal difference could be really important, and it could be a real big swing come the last day of the season, Champions League group stage, where this looks a great opportunity. If Atalanta win by 4 or 5, their goal difference goes to plus 14, plus 15, something like that. And then, it might change the picture for them in the final game, might make things a little bit easier, where a draw might do. So I think this is a good opportunity for them to rack up a high one. And I expect them to cover it.
Just a couple other things quickly on Atalanta.
And Retegi's back.
Retegi's back playing. They play Barcelona next up in the Champions League. So this one is a must. They haven't won in their last 5, but they played Lazio, Inter, Juve, and Napoli over that span. So Sturm Graz, it fits the bill. And they scored 28 league goals at home, which is tops in Serie A. Just 2 at home in this competition. But their XG at home, it's about 7. So I just all directions for me point to Atalanta by a significant margin here. I know that's it for you on Tuesday. Just a couple more plays I want to mention. I really like Club Brugge on the handicap at a quarter of a goal at minus 109. It's pushed out to minus 109 for minus 105. If you haven't been paying attention, Bruges has 5 wins in a row and no losses in 18 in all competition. They've won 11 straight games at home, including beating Aston Villa and Sporting both at home in this competition as well. Juve, this game to me screams draw as well. Jake, it's one of those where Juve just don't want to lose. So you can win a half bet if it ends in a draw. And I think you're back in the right side. Juve draws in their last 2 away games, 1-1 at Atalanta and 1-1 at Torino. And they're 24th in expected goal differential per 90 minutes away from home in the Champions League at minus 0.75, and just 3 expected goals in those 3 away fixtures. They haven't been great away from home. They play very safe and cagey. I think that plays into Club Brugge's favor. Again, I'm going to avoid betting the draw, and instead, because of that quarter point swing, it makes sense for me to back Club Brugge on the handicap. And I like the total on Benfica and Barcelona over 3.25 at minus 107. Barcelona, they're into the second round after that 3-2 win over Dortmund. 5 Champions League wins in a row. 21 goals scored is the most in that competition. They've scored 5 goals in 2 of their last 4 games and 4 or more in 5 of their last 7 away from home. 52 La Liga. I don't need to tell you about Barcelona and their attacking prowess, because there's no team, better team in the world right now. Lewandowski has 7, the most in this competition. Rafinha was 6. And Benfica have gone over 2.5 in 4 of 5 and scored 3 or more in 3 of the last 4 games as well. 3 or more combined goals in their last 4 games at home. They've scored 31 goals in the league as well, the Portuguese league, which is a different standard. But they're good at home in the Champions League as well, and a 7.3 expected goals over the course of those 3 games plays well for me in this scenario as well. So I wouldn't discourage that either. Let's get to the main course here. It's the Wednesday fixture between PSG, 25th, yes, outside the top 24 in the Champions League table, taking on Manchester City, who are feeling rather uncomfortable heading into this fixture as well, despite just dominating Ipswich Town on the weekend 6-0. That's because they sit 22nd on just 8 points in the Champions League as well. It's the rematch of the 2020-2021 semifinal. PSG won the home fixture and did advance to the final. It was 2-0 in this fixture back 3 seasons ago. I should also mention PSG play Stuttgart away in their final game. Nothing straightforward there for them. And City play Club Brugge at home in their final game of the Champions League. All right, what market are you looking at in this game? This is a virtual must-win for both sides as well, Jake.
This is a big game for both, yeah. I think at the prices, I would probably be leaning towards PSG on the handicap at minus 116. Their underlying data in this competition is on par with City's. And in the league, obviously, they just continue to dominate Ligue 1. But I also think that recent form of Manchester City's might be painting a little bit or covering the cracks a little bit. They come into this game on the back of, well, they beat Leicester, beat West Ham, beat Salford, draw with Brentford, which they threw that one away, and then beat Ipswich. So they've played a lot of really rubbish teams, you could argue, and it's probably puffing up a little bit as to what their results are, what they've actually shown. And I think this is the biggest test they're going to face over that period, absolutely. And PSG are going to throw the kitchen sink for sure because they are in last chance saloon. But again, the angle I'm looking at is cards. I think cards could be on the agenda big time because it is such a big game. When the stakes get higher, cards generally fly around, especially on the continent. And good referee appointment in Simon Marciniak. This season he's averaging 3.7 cards per game. He's yet to really kick off in the Champions League, but I do feel as though that's because it's been quite nicey in the early stages where they're just jostling for position ahead of the home straight. Now things are getting really serious. We could see a real uptick. In the last season in Europe, he averaged 5.2 cards per game. The line's actually set at 4, so it's a flat 4. So if there's 4 cards, we get our money back. If it goes 5, 6, 7, we get a nice winner. Minus 106 is the price. And last season in Europe, the referee covered the line in 9 of 12 that he took charge of. PSG's last big game was at Bayern Munich, saw 7 yellows and a red card. Since City kind of fell apart, they've had 3 games in the Champions League. They themselves have collected 3, 1 and 2 cards, so they're quite prone to collecting cards. I think it could be one of the games where they just end up booting each other and there'll be a lot of last-ditch tackles, a lot of tug-backs while they're on the counter-attack, those kind of things. The dark art, should we say, the shithousing. There'll be a lot of that going on, some time wasting if one team's in front, etc., which I think will push the booking line high.
I lean to the over at minus 105, over 3 goals. Just that's what the data suggests, and the way that these two sides play and the magnitude of the occasion, but no real conviction here, just a half unit play, if anything, for me. Also on Wednesday, Glasgow Celtic have the chance for the first time in 12 years, really to put themselves in a position to advance to a knockout round in the Champions League. They take on Young Boys, who are dead last in the table, don't have a point. The handicap is set at 1.5. I'm taking it with Celtic at 1.5 at minus 108. Not sure if you have a play in this game, Jake.
Yeah, it's the same play. They've been very dominant in their home matches against 2 poor teams so far. They've won 2, drawn 1. They beat Slovan Bratislava quite comfortably. Beat Leipzig, and Young Boys are the worst team in the competition, full stop. There doesn't need to be too much added to that. Their underlying data says they're the worst team. The actual table says they're the worst team. They've conceded 22 times in 6 games, scored just 3 times. The handicap's been covered in 4 of their 2 games, 4 of the 6 games, sorry. And Celtic, this is a massive game. If they don't win this, they won't qualify. Probably they play away at Aston Villa next time, so. It's a massive opportunity for them against a really poor team. I expect them to win quite comfortably. Again, goal difference will come in as well.
Yeah, they couldn't ask for a better fixture. Young Boys, new manager, 1 game back from their winter break. It was a goalless draw against Winterthur. The data for Young Boys, dreadful in the Champions League, dreadful in league play as well. In the Swiss Super League, 1-3-5 away from home. It's 9 scored, 17. This is a team that work their way into the Champions League, and they're just having a miserable campaign. So Celtic couldn't ask for a better fixture. I still think it's a good price. Get it while you can. I think that number is going to shift out ahead of kickoff. You also finally are taking a look at Feyenoord Bayern Munich on Wednesday as well. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, I fully expect this game to just explode with goals. In terms of league position, you've got Bayern in 10th, so they're currently outside that top 8. Feyenoord down in 18th, they're on 10 points, so they've got a 3-point cushion to 25th, but the goal difference is -1, so anybody could jump above them after this game week should they lose. But the last home game, they really have to try and win the game. Bayern Munich have shown vulnerabilities already this season in the Champions League, lost at Barcelona and Aston Villa on the road, so Feyenoord might fancy the chances. And their games in the Champions League, Feyenoord have actually averaged 4.8 goals per game. with over 3.5 goals landing in all 6, and that's what I'm going to go with. The line's a bit lower at 3.25, but I'm just going to jump it up to 3.5. Take the chance that we see 4 goals or more. It's plus 107. Bayern Munich have gone over 3.5 in 3 of 6, but I think more importantly, they're actually close to full strength in terms of team news and team selection. Before their winter break, there was quite a lot of injuries up and down the 11, whereas now they are back to full fitness, and they need to go there, get a victory if they're to try and finish in that top 8. I think they'll probably try and lay down a bit of a marker as well if possible. Win quite comfortably, score 3 or 4 themselves, and then move on to the final game. So yeah, over 3.5 in that.
Okay, 2 final plays for me as we wrap up this pod. Shakhtar Donetsk and Brest over 2.5 seems some real value at plus 101. Shakhtar Donetsk had nothing to lose here, 27th. They've gone over three goals or more in 4 of their last 5 Champions League fixture. 3-2 against PSV, 5-1 against Bayern Munich. They can score goals. They just happen to concede a lot in this competition as well. Brest is aside, Stade Brest. I mean, they play wide open, don't they? Second worst expected goals against in Ligue 1. And that kind of is carried over to the Champions League as well. So just 2.5. I think you're getting some real value there. And my favorite play of the week, Sparta, Prague, Inter Milan. This is the bet every week.
Inter to nil.
Go on. Inter to nil at plus 145. It shifted out from plus 150 too. Inter, their last 2 games, they've conceded at home. They're conceding goals at home. Empoli was 3-1. The game before was 2-2. But their last away fixtures, like 3-0 Cagliari, 7-0 Lazio, 5-0 Verona, 3-0 Empoli, 1-0 Roma. Just 1 goal conceded in the Champions League. This looks to be the gift that keeps on giving. At plus 145, Inter to nil away from home is the bet to make. And it's my top bet of the week. I'll just run through my top 3 that allow you to do the same. I like Celtic on the handicap against Young Boys at minus 108 as my second play. And Leverkusen at the nil handicap or the draw no bet at plus 114. What are your top 3 of the week, Jake?
I'll go with Atalanta, minus 2 handicap. Minus 111. We'll go with over 4 bookings in the PSG game, minus 106. And then I'm going to take Celtic on the handicap as well, minus 108.
Brilliant. All right. Good stuff. So it's the penultimate week in the Champions League. Enjoy it, everyone. Bet smart, bet Pinnacle. Please hit the subscribe, smash the like button, tell your friends about this podcast. We'll be back midweek to break down the weekend fixtures across European football. Jake, it's good to be back. Good to see you. And let's hope for some winners this week in the Champions League.
Fingers crossed, yeah. Let's hope the goals and the cards are like confetti.
Or my tequila consumption or my mezcal consumption in Mexico last week.
Exactly.
Well done. Thanks to you,
over.
listeners. All day, all night. Thanks for tuning in. This has been episode 22 of Pinnacle FC.